All right. So, it was just brought to my attention that Feminist Frequency put out a new video about the 25 invisible privileges of being a male gamer. Oh boy. So let's deal this with reason, logic, and a little bit of rational control of ourselves. I have only gone to the transcript through an archive. I am not even going to watch the video. Obviously, this is going to be quite the ride. So, point number one. I can choose to remain completely oblivious or indifferent to the harassment that many women face in gaming spaces. Women aren't the only people who face any sort of harassment. Everybody gets harassed and joked with, and the general internet culture of everybody being called a faggot or a nigger or anything like that. People get shit flung at them from all sides. I'm sure there are some people out there who genuinely mean the things they say simply because they're assholes, but they're a minority. They're the extremists. This is nothing new. This has been around for a while, since before video gaming and the internet. It's something that happens to everyone. Number two, I am never told that video games or the surrounding culture is not intended for me because I am a male. Pardon the sniffing. I think I'm getting a head cold, so there's that. No one is told that they're not part of the culture or that video games are not for them based on their gender or anything else. Genuinely, people say things like, get good if you want to be good, or, stop being such a faggot. And that's all because of the fact that these are people ribbing each other. As with the previous point, I'm sure there are extremists out there who say that things are not intended for certain audiences simply because of their gender, ethnicity, etc. But they are not indicative of the entire group. They are extremists. In fact, gaming culture in general, not just video games, but all sorts of gaming, is the most inclusive thing I've ever seen. They don't care if you're white or black, gay or straight, male or female, a transsexual, a transvestite, or otherwise. They don't give a shit. They just want to play the fucking game, and they want to see if you can play the fucking game too. Number three, and I really hate this one. I can publicly post my username, gamertag, or contact information online without having to be fear of being stalked or sexually harassed because of my gender. Now, they have to tack on that because of my gender to make their point, cherry pick it and warp it so that it fits their warped narrative, because if it wasn't on there, this entire statement would be false. There is not a single person online who can publicly post username, gamertag, or contact information online without expecting some sort of asshole to come and make trouble for them. Male or female, gay or straight. You post your shit, and you're probably gonna get messed with at least a little bit. This is nothing new. There are trolls on the internet. Don't feed them. Number four, I will never be asked to prove my gaming cred simply because of my gender. Now, this one's a bit of a hazy one. I mean, prove your gaming cred in what sort of game? I'm sure that if I said, I'm a fucking expert at Cooking Mama, and yes, that seems like a sexist choice, but I'll get there. Lots of people who play Cooking Mama be like, really? The fuck? Prove it, dude. Prove that you can play Cooking Mama really well. It all has to do with market demographics and the interests of those demographics. A lot of the more action-paced games, things like Call of Duty, Halo, Destiny, etc., all of them are primarily motivated and primarily marketed for a more testosterone-laced gaming community. Conflict is inherent to people with a lot of testosterone, and the sexual dimorphism of the human species shows that males produce more testosterone than females, making them more physically aggressive. So if a girl comes on and says, I'm really good at Call of Duty, without ever, showing their skill, for one, people are going to be like, prove it. I mean, hell, even if a guy comes on to the Call of Duty and goes, I'm fucking shit at this game, they're like, fucking prove it. Let's see your KD ratio. Let's see your, let's see your skills in combat. Let's see that you're not a fucking camper and you can do the shit you claim to do. It isn't just your gender, it's the fact that you're making incredulous claims. Number 5. If I enthusiastically express my fondness for video games, no one will automatically assume I'm faking my interest just to get attention from other gamers. It has to do with the difference between enthusiasm and outright, what's a good word for this? It's, oh yeah, I'm totally a gamer. You're sucking up. Your enthusiasm would be better expressed discussing video games than just saying, oh yeah, I fucking love video games. I totally play these games. It's like, oh yeah, I fucking love that level. Do you remember this part here and that part there? For example, Halo Reach. Halo Reach, one of the last levels, the achievement for jumping on an elite from the cliff. I can actually speak about that because I have experience having done that. But if somebody comes in and says, "Oh yeah, I love fucking Halo Reach. It's such a fun game." Well, what did you like from it? If you sit there with your mouth hanging open catching flies, yeah, people are going to think you're just going for attention. That applies to males and females both. Doesn't matter about the gender. Number 6. I can look at practically any gaming website, show, or magazine and see the voices of people of my own gender widely represented. Well, now, this works both ways. It's true. You can see a lot of men's voices. It's also true. You can see a lot of women's voices. There are a lot of women's voices in gaming. Not as many as men. Again, it's been a widely male demographic for a long time. This is true. But is that sexist? No, that has to do, again, with sexual dimorphism and the interests of males and females as dictated by their biology and their environmental upbringing. Market economy, essentially. Number 7, when I go to a gaming event or convention, I can be relatively certain that I won't be harassed, groped, propositioned, or catcalled by total strangers. Bullshit. Bullshit. Absolutely bullshit. I can be relatively certain that me, a okay-looking 6'5", 250-pound, slightly overweight guy going to a gaming event or convention, won't be propositioned, catcalled, harassed, or groped. I'm not that much of a looker. I can also be certain that some of my friends who are female, who are not, they'd be 6s or 7s on the scale, just like I'd be about a 5 or a 6. They are not going to get propositioned much either. The people who get propositioned are the ones who are outwardly attractive, physical attraction. And I don't care if people say that physical attraction is so shallow and sexist. The human brain, on both sides of the equation, is wired to first judge suitable mates via physical appearance, because that's going to be an indicator of how healthy and how strong a mate they're going to be. So yes, beautiful people, men and women both, are going to get propositioned, catcalled. They may even get harassed or groped. And sure, that's a problem, but it can be dealt with in a legal matter, and it's very small. Number 8. I will never be asked or expected to speak for all other gamers who share my gender. Nobody is asked or expected to speak for all other gamers who share their gender. We don't ask or expect people like Anita Sarkeesian, Brianna Wu, Zoe Quinn, etc., etc. The people central to the Gamergate, allegedly, allegedly central to Gamergate, when they don't really matter. We don't ask them to speak for all other women in the industry. We ask each woman to speak for themselves, which is why #NotYourShield was such an unexpected success. They choose to speak for other gamers who share their gender, to the point of shutting up other gamers who share their gender, whose ideals do not intersect with their own. Number 9, I can be sure that my gaming performance, good or bad, won't be attributed to or reflect on my gender as a whole. Yeah. Again, true for both genders. Just because one woman fucked up a raid in WoW, let's say that. One girl accidentally fucks up a raid in WoW. They're not going to be like, man, we never should have had a fucking girl. All girls suck at this game. They're like, man, you fucked up. Get good. If there are people who say, man, we should have never had a girl, they're being stupid. I mean, there are plenty of gamers out there who also say, man, we never should have had, a fucking guy like you on here. Again, generalizations are stupid. And again, they're the minority. But they get publicized. See, that's the biggest thing. We see so many quote-unquote examples because they're the only thing that makes news. If news said, and today, these things all happened like they've happened every other day in this way, most people wouldn't think of that as news. It'd be olds at that point because they're the same things occurring all the time. Number 10. My gaming ability will never be called into question based on unrelated natural biological functions. This, I'm assuming, is somebody saying, God, you must be PMSing and that's why you sucked today. I'm assuming that's what they're referencing. That's part of the shit talking. But I've heard plenty of insults thrown between guys. It says, hey, quit jacking off and get back in the game. Unrelated natural biological function, masturbation. Oh, and if you're cringing at the word masturbation, you might want to get off the internet because masturbation is a normal biological function for both sexes. Quit jacking off, quit, whatever. Okay, that's an insult that's thrown around because it gets a rise. It's not intended as a misogynist, sexist probe. It's not. 11. I can be relatively sure my thoughts about video games won't be dismissed or attacked based solely on my tone of voice, even if I speak in an aggressive, obnoxious, crude, or flippant manner. Bullshit! Absolute bullshit! If you speak in an aggressive, obnoxious, crude, or flippant manner, people are going to have less interest in what you say, no matter what. I mean, I'm sure there are going to be people who are uninterested in what I'm saying right now because of the way I'm talking about this. And that's because the tone of voice I'm taking. This is absolute horse shit. Tone of voice, and especially body language. If you're in a person-to-person encounter, body language. These things better convey your meaning than the words you are speaking. So if you're speaking in a manner that conflicts with what you're saying, people are less likely to take it to heart. They're going to dismiss it. Or they're going to turn on you because you're being aggressive for no reason. Because if you say, oh, well, that fucking game sucks, you should fucking stop playing it, somebody's going to go turn at you and go, fuck off, I like this game. I'm going to continue playing it. Eat a dick. That's what's going to happen. You're telling somebody that something is shit and nobody should play it. And, well, I think there are games out there that are truly shit and nobody should play them. That's, again, my opinion. The people playing them that enjoy them are going to tell you to fuck off. They're going to straight up tell you, I don't give a fuck. Get the hell out of here. Number 12, I can openly say that my favorite games are casual, odd, non-violent, artistic, or cute, without fear that my opinions will reinforce a stereotype that men are not real gamers. False dichotomy. False dichotomy. False dichotomy. I have not seen the whole women are not real gamers argument as a generalization in a while. I've seen it happen, and it comes from ignorant douchebags, both men and women who are ignorant douchebags. But generally, if you say things that, like your favorite game is, say Cooking Mama, non-violent, pretty casual, though hard as balls game, you're called a filthy casual. Get the fuck out of here. This place is only for hardcore gamers. And that's, again, part of gaming culture. There's casuals and hardcores. And even then, I think that that's giving too much credit to both. I'm pretty sure casual and hardcore overlap a lot for people. And I'm also pretty sure that what is casual and what is hardcore is subjective. I mean, I consider Call of Duty to be without merit at this point. I'm burnt on shooters for the most part. Have been since Halo 3. Played a little bit of Reach because my brother wanted me to play with him. But I don't think Call of Duty is a fun game anymore. I don't think most shooters are fun games anymore. And people would look at me and go, "You're such a fucking filthy casual. You play all those fucking RPGs and shit." Well, those aren't casual games. Those eat up hours of time for me. That's pretty hardcore gaming to me. But that's, again, to me, it's a subjective term. So, not real gamers is people who basically don't play the games for more than anything than a few hours. You know, I mean, a lot of these reviewers who go through games on the easiest modes just so they can pump a review out, that's not really doing what the game intended. Although that doesn't make them not a real gamer. Point 13. When purchasing most major video games in a store, chances are I will not be asked if, or assumed to be, buying it for a wife, daughter, or girlfriend. Chances are they're talking about the whole a woman buying say Call of Duty for herself and says, "Oh, you getting that for your boyfriend / husband / son?" And they say, "No, I'm getting it for myself." It's not sexism. It's another product of the market economy and sexual dimorphism. Most of these quote-unquote hardcore, ultra-violent games, GTA 5, the Call of Duty series, etc., these games that are primarily marketed to the male audience, they're going to get raised looks when a woman buys them. I mean, not nearly as much as before because most people don't give a shit. But the marketing is towards males. So saying, "Oh, are you getting that for a male person you care about?" And they're like, "Oh, no, I'm getting it for myself." That ends the conversation. "Oh, cool, you're getting it for yourself." Nobody assumes, "Why the fuck are you getting that for yourself?" unless they're an ignorant douche. Number 14. The vast majority of game studios, past and present, have been led and populated primarily by people of my own gender, and as such, most of their products have been specifically designed to cater to my demographic. Because most developers are male, they make games for males. No. Nope. That logic does not lead. It wouldn't matter if most of them were female. What matters is who the demographic is that is buying the most video games. So, most studios have seen, hey, we have a lot of guys buying video games. A lot of males between certain ages. Let's make games that cater to that demographic. Doesn't matter whether they're a man or woman. Doesn't matter whether a developer, a CEO of a company, whatever. Doesn't matter. They're going to make the game that caters to the demographic. And that's what's important. This is a leading statement to say that because developers are men, they make games for men. No, it's because men buy a lot of video games, developer make games for men. It's all about market demand. Number 15. I can walk into any gaming store and see images of my gender widely represented as powerful heroes, dastardly villains, and non-playable characters alike. I can walk into any gaming store and see images of all genders widely represented, powerful heroes, dastardly villains, non-playable characters alike, based on market share. And, maybe they're talking characters in games where you have a fixed gender, like when you're playing, again, sorry to harken back to this, Call of Duty or Halo or any of those games. Hell, not even Halo. In Halo Reach, your character is custom. You could make them either gender. And of course, the Spartans really don't look different with all that armor on, but still. But there are plenty of games where gender is not fixed. Or let's look at fighting game rosters. There's a wide representation of males and females there. Or look at games where you aren't even human. Spore. Go look at Spore. The fuck? What gender are you there? You're not. You're a goddamn alien life form. I mean, there's probably genders just because Spore is supposed to... Off topic. Never mind. I'll get back to topic. But the fact is that, yes, I can see representations of both genders as powerful heroes or horrible villains and lots of NPCs. In a game I've been playing recently, Fantasy Life, you can be a man or a woman. There are a lot of female NPCs that will follow you around as party members because you get at a certain rank. There are a lot of male NPCs who will follow you around as party members because of a rank you get. It's inclusive. Number 16, I will almost always have the option to play a character of my gender, as most protagonists or heroes will be male by default. Now, I'm just going to say the same things here I've been saying for, I think, 3 points now. Market economy, who buys the games the most? I mean, even if the market is split up 50-50, as a lot of studies have claimed or shown, who is buying more? Who makes more purchases? I mean, it doesn't matter if half gamers are male and half gamers are female, if the half that is male is buying 3 times as many games as the half that is female. At that point, yes, they're still going to market towards men because the men are still buying 3 times as many games. And yes, a lot of fixed gender protagonists are male. But that's, again, because market economy. Number 17. I do not have to carefully navigate my engagement with online communities or gaming spaces in order to avoid or mitigate the possibility of being harassed because of my gender. You have to carefully navigate engagement with all online communities or gaming spaces in which you're not anonymous, because otherwise you're going to be trolled and shitposted on in general. If your content has no merit, people will let you know. I mean, the biggest thing about, and yes, I'm bringing them up, 4chan and 8chan, these places where anonymity is the norm, your gender, your ethnicity, your sexual orientation does not matter one single fucking bit unless the piece of information the other anonymous people are seeking has to specifically do with your biology. Like, hey, you know, one of the questions I saw, hey, feminons, exactly what does it feel like to have a period, etc., etc. You know, at that point, and only at that point, did their gender come into play, because men don't have periods. And anyway, if your content is shit, or off topic, or doesn't make a point, the other users are going to let you know. And that's the short and long of it. Number 18, I probably never think about hiding my real-life gender online through my gamer name, my avatar choice, or by muting voice chat out of fear of harassment resulting from my being male. I'm pretty sure I never think about hiding my real-life gender through online gamer names, avatar choices, or muting voice chat. I mute voice chat because I just don't give a shit. I don't like talking to some of the annoying people online. I choose an avatar based on what I aesthetically like. Some games I play a female, some games I play a male, just because I think the cooler choice is one or the other. And I'm pretty sure most other people do too. And my gamer name is ambiguous enough, you've already seen it on my channel here, Xanatrix Zadare, is ambiguous enough that it could be taken either way. I mean, when some people have seen my username, they've asked, Xanatrix, is that anything like Dominatrix? And I laugh my ass off because it's hilarious. Nobody does these things out of fear of harassment from their gender, because, you know, I've been in games where a girl comes on voice chat and guys are like, ooh, and then they're like, shut the fuck up and play the game, guys. Who gives a fuck? And it stops. People do not give a shit. 19. When I enter an online game, I can be relatively sure I won't be attacked or harassed when and if my real-life gender is made public. I can. Just as women get, you know, slurs about being, you know, bitches online because they're women, I've heard more than once a slur thrown the other way for someone, get good at the game, faggot, stop sucking some dicks, when they know the dude is a man. Yeah, no, this shit talking and shit posting, more of internet culture. 20. If I am trash talked or verbally berated while playing online, it will not be because I am male, nor will my gender be invoked as an insult. Again, bullshit. I just made that example in the previous point. You will be called a faggot. You'll be said your dick is small. You'll be told that you should stop sucking cocks. This is internet culture. 21. While playing online with people I don't know, I won't be interrogated about the size and shape of my real-life body parts, nor will I be pressured to share intimate details about my sex life for the pleasure of other players. To repeat my point, you're a faggot. Stop sucking dicks. I bet you have a small dick, smaller than your pinky finger. I bet you can't even get a girl. Fucking lonely virgin. And I've seen that from men and women both, so... 22. Complete strangers generally do not send me unsolicited images of their genitalia or demand to see me naked on the basis of being a male gamer. This one I can't really address. I've had no experience with it and seen nobody else's experiences with it. I've seen people complain about receiving unsolicited images or the demands, but I've seen it on both sides, and very, very rarely. People like that are just creeps. Men and women alike who do that. They're just creeps. 23. In multiplayer games, I can be pretty sure that conversations between other players will not focus on speculation about my attractiveness or sexual availability in real life. Depends on what you sound like, actually. If I've heard more than once, somebody comes online with a very smooth voice. And I'm talking about a male guy here, male. He comes on and he talks all smooth, and he has a voice that reminds people of, something sexy and sensual. They will speculate about their attractiveness or sexual availability. Same with a girl. Same with anyone else. This is not a new thing. And again, back to my point about sexual dimorphism and the biological reproductive responses of the brain. We are meant to judge first based on physical attributes alone, because we don't know the personality of the person, and the body wants suitable genetic material to pass on. 24. If I choose to point out sexism in gaming, my observations will not be seen as self-serving, and will therefore be perceived as more credible and worthy of respect than those of my female counterparts, even if they're saying the exact same thing. No, actually, not at all. We've seen plenty of gamers speak out against the people pointing out sexism in gaming, whether they're male or female, especially, again, with the Gamergate conflict that continues to go on. This consumer revolt against bad ethics, about the journalistic ethics, it's not the only thing that we've seen people speak up and go, no, that's bullshit. Stop saying this bullshit. It's been going on for a long time. This was just everything coming to a head with the match started on August 28th. Most people don't think that there is widespread misogynistic sexism in gaming. Yes, there are sexists who game. This is going to happen. There are always going to be extremists. There are always going to be irrational people doing the things we like and interacting with us. But they're a minority. They're very vocal. And again, that's why we see them. It's like the Westboro Baptist Church. They're very vocal. And they make some of the stupidest claims. But they're the only thing a lot of people see. These negative things. Because it's what makes news. It's what makes headlines. It's what gets ratings. Anybody who says that gaming itself is sexist, or that gaming is largely sexist, is delusional. As I said, nobody gives a fuck about your sex. Nobody gives a fuck about your ethnicity. Nobody, absolutely nobody, gives a fuck about your sexual orientation. They just want you to shut the fuck up and play the fucking game. And generally, they want you to have a modicum of skill at it, because you know, if you're an unskilled player and you're on a team-based game like Destiny or WoW or anything else like that, you'll bring your team down by having no skill. 25. Because it was created by straight white men, this checklist will likely be taken more seriously than if it had been written by virtually any female gamer. Bullshit. This list is written by ideologues. It doesn't matter their gender, their sexual orientation, or their ethnicity. If it had been written by a bunch of straight white men, you know, gay white men, gay anything, straight anything, men, women, black, white, Asian, Hispanic, whatever. This list was written by ideologues, people who want to censor opposition rather than creating their own space. And that's my primary problem with any of these ideologues. Rather than saying, well, I don't like this, so you need to change it to suit me, they, you know, rather than saying what they're saying, they should be saying, well, I don't like this. I'm going to create something better, and we'll let the market decide. And that's how you create innovative ideas. You make something, put it on the market. If it succeeds, hey, you did a good job. If it doesn't, hey, you might want to rethink things. Make something else. And it's not just, you know, the social Marxism of the SJW movements that thinks this way. There's plenty of movements that think, well, you have to change it to suit me. But to bring up this small comparison, even Jack Thompson was not this bad. And Jack Thompson was saying that video games cause violence. Cause violence, when plenty of scientific proof had shown otherwise. Now, sure, he uses faulty science, but the man's argument was never, these need to change. It was, these need to stay out of the hands of our young. And to a certain extent, I can agree with that. I don't think a child between the ages of 4 and arbitrary number here, 12, should have access to something, well, that is morally ambiguous while their moral compasses are developing. A child needs to A, understand the difference between fantasy and reality, and B, understand the difference between what's right and what's wrong, and have developed a somewhat moral compass before playing games like Call of Duty, Grand Theft Auto, you know, these games that have you murdering people. And war is glorified through some of the Call of Duty games, which is really weird. War is never glorious. Again, sidetrack. But Thompson was at least open to dialogue. Whereas these ideologues here, they will close all their comments, close all their ratings, because they don't want to hear anything but people that agree with them, and that anybody that disagrees with them is just a hater, is somebody who hates them, rather than somebody who has rational arguments against their points, against their faulty logic. So, these 25 points, they're misrepresented. Misrepresentative of gaming. They're cherry-picked, and there's a lot of doublethink. And ultimately, this doesn't matter. But I felt a need to address this. So, I hope you enjoyed my tirade. I tend to rant. That's my thing. I don't know whether I'll be ranting on other things, whether I'll pull up other stuff in the future. But, you know, judge it as you may. Like I said, the market economy prevails. And so yeah, I'm Xanatrix Adare, and I'm signing off.